I'm sorry, everyone, but we have to start now. We still have a lot of discussion ahead. Please stop it now. Stop it. Okay.
Right, hi. Yeah, our group had pretty good discussion. We sort of went through the points, the 4 different positions at first, so we could work out sort of where we might stand, and we've come up with a completely different one. Yay! Basically, we think that the idea of presenting the 3 demands is a sort of good idea, saying we'll continue sort of discussing this after we present this. But we wanted to add, but we thought maybe we should add something else to it that sort of encompasses our wider message. But then we realised if we just mention this is only the beginning, this is only the first step in what we want, then it will be okay. So people don't realise, you know, that's all we believe in. And we realised that, you know, everybody's instinct is to say, you know, F off to the Corporation of London, because we don't want to play their game. But we have to be smart about it. So what we thought is if we had a 4th premise that says, well, if you want to continue discussion, come down here and do it on our turf. Come to one of our GAs, come to a special meeting, and discuss it in person, face to face. Because that's how we make decisions, so maybe that's how you should try and play the game too. And that's a really good idea. We know that they're not going to agree to the first sort of 3 premises because that's against everything they believe in, but the public will be on our side. And when we actually release that statement, it will be a media stunt and it will get out into the news and people will read it. And so when the eviction comes, because obviously they're not going to agree with these terms and it will come soon, we can galvanise the public because they'll know what we believe in and we will seem strong in their eyes, which is what is the most important thing. We think it's important then after this meeting to discuss what we're going to do when we are evicted. We think it's also very important to make sure we can galvanise public and unions to come down in time, but we'll get an eviction notice so we'll know ahead of time. So, you know, don't be scared. Be proud of being evicted because we're doing it for what we believe in. Woo!
What? Hello. So in our group, we kind of came to terms to the fact that that basically we're rejecting the proposals that the Corporation of London is putting on us because it has nothing to do with why we're here. These are legal terms and petty things that have nothing to do with the 9 points that Occupy London has agreed with at the beginning. Therefore, we would engage with them only if they meet the 3 proposals that we have written here, the ones about publishing the full year report and breakdowns and make the etc. And so we would engage with them only through if they do that, and by reiterating that this is not to do with the Corporation of London only. We are here for a wider purpose, and therefore that the 9 points at the beginning have to be the ones that have to be met in order for us to actually leave. So yeah.
We had a wide-ranging discussion, but the end of it was we agreed with the counter-proposal written by the legal team as it's on the document. But before we reached that, we went through a wide argument. The first argument we said is that the General Assembly, if the General Assembly is a sovereign body, this isn't a legal point, this is a political point. Sovereignty is established through political power, through political force, not through polite arguments with lawyers. The other point that people made was that since we have entered into negotiation with the City of London Corporation, we have in the legal parlance joined it with them, and this was a tactical mistake to do that. Another point that was made is that we are protected by Article 10 and 11 of the European Convention of Human Rights, but according to others, those two rights are not absolute according to judgment of the Supreme Court. Another point that someone made was that we need to consider this from a PR perspective. The statement we produce is powerful. A point from Anonymous. Roger Hayes is an expert on the area of common law, which is relevant to this area of discussion, and we should invite him to advise us. And then the other point is being evicted is not the end of the story for us. The occupation isn't an end in itself. The point of the occupation is to build a movement to resist austerity, to make the banks pay for the crisis, not to have a perpetual residency here.
Why don't you pay for something? Consider that.
Okay, we had a long discussion and there were different points made, but probably, some people thought that we shouldn't be having any discussion at all, and they were very, very strong about this because at the end of the day, it's not going to help to our movement to get involved in this sort of discussion. The second point that lots of people agree with as well was the 3 points that were proposed by the legal team of sort of rejecting their proposal and ask them a counter-proposal. And then the third point was that we could always reject what they're saying, reject their proposal, and say that we would like to continue dialogue, but that we need more time to actually come up with a counter proposal, taking into account that we will get more advice from different parts of legal teams, apart from the ones that we've had already, in order to create a counter proposal later on that we will give to the Corporation of London. And I think that's it. No?
Amending the counter proposal so they release their...
Can't hear you.
Amending the counter proposal so that... we had one proposal, just a slight amendment to the 3 counter demands that would be for them not to just to release their statistics and their figures since 2008 financial crash, but to release their figures since the turn of the millennium, since before the financial crash. So a slight amendment.
Okay, so it's not owned by you, it's not owned by anyone by you.
Okay, the first thing was that a couple of some people said that if we didn't negotiate, it wouldn't mean that. So some people said that eviction wouldn't mean that not negotiating wouldn't mean having to leave right away. There'd be a long legal process, and they'd also have to decide whether they can get away with an eviction. And a number of people wanted a second legal opinion. Then we had a discussion about the 4 options, and not many thought that we should straight say no and we're going to get people here, although some did. On the we won't leave unless points, people thought we should have the 3 points, but we also thought we should add the 9 points, like the the breakout group that reported before, because the main thing that we were concerned about was that otherwise we were letting down all the people who see us as being here to support that wider agenda, and we were also and also, even if we said that we were going to go under certain conditions, even if we didn't go, Okay, even if we said that we were going to have dialogue under certain conditions, even if we didn't go, it could undermine other occupations and other people, and that they'd face much worse in Oakland.
Hello. Our group was extremely harmonious. There was no disputes. We came to conclusion extremely quickly, and everyone was really happy and satisfied. I just want to share that with you. We did not favour the first two options. We thought that was playing exactly into the corporation's hands. That's what they wanted us to do. They're hoping we're going to be a bunch of hardline, militant, activists who just refuse to anything, and they can use that against us and throw us out of here with it. The second two options were much more popular. The third being the most popular. The third is the one where we issue, in reply to them, those specific three demands on them, and we reject the offer they gave to us, because it was felt that what it would do is it would weaken their position in the sense that we continue dialogue with them. We're not seen to be cutting off dialogue with them. We ask for clear demands that are only reasonable, and then they have to refuse and make them look like fools, basically. The fourth one was also considered popular, but the idea of having the initial statement instead of those demands just seemed a little too wishy-washy and vague. And although a good idea at heart, just wasn't as clever. It wouldn't strengthen our position as much. There was some other details and comments that we've written down as well.
Yeah, so as was said before, there was 15 in our group unanimously agreeing that option 3 was the best way to go. We acknowledged that what had been offered by the corporation isn't a set of negotiation points, it was an ultimatum. And we also saw that none of the options as put forward are an acceptance of what they say. We strongly believe that option 3 was the best, because options 1 and 2, which were to defy, so option 1 was defy with no legal aid, and option 2 was to defy with appeal to citizens. We thought that options 1 and 2 simply play into their hands and speed up the eviction. Option 2, appealing to citizens, we thought there was not actually much point in appealing to the citizens as a way forward, because at any point we can appeal to the citizens. It doesn't matter if we can choose option 3, and then at the point they evict us we can appeal to citizens, so we don't really gain anything by choosing options 1 or 2. Also, if we go to the City of London with the 3 options as laid out, then if they say no, they look stupid and we get more public support. And I think the main reason we chose option 3 was in order to gain public support. We've stayed here for as long as we have because we've got the public on side. We don't want to give the City of London an excuse to say, well, look, they're not talking to us, they're ignoring us. Someone in the group made a really important point, that when the cathedral behind us didn't talk to us for 2 weeks, it was them that looked really bad, and it was a public relations nightmare. So we don't want to be hypocritical and start copying what we were disagreeing with. So we strongly think if we go to them and we say, okay, we'll continue the dialogue, these are the 3 points that we want, we're not being hypocritical, and going with 3 options rather than 9, 3 clear, simple options can be reported in the press and it won't be mistaken. It's a more focused thing for the City of London to have to respond to if there's just 3 things. It won't detract from the 9 that have already been said. We're not retracting them. We're just saying we will continue talking. We will talk to you on the condition that you continue talking on the condition that you speak to these 3 points. It won't be misunderstood. Thanks very much.
Hello, everyone. In the group that I was in, we had a really good, really focused discussion. It seemed during the course of that discussion that we were more divided than we actually were, because in the end we came to consensus very easily that option 3, as proposed by the legal team, would be the way to go. Some of the factors we discussed, we talked about what happened in Wall Street and how Occupy Wall Street, when you had those scenes of police brutality, that's when public opinion started to come in. But we also spoke about what we stand for as an occupation, and we stand for inclusivity and openness. And rejecting dialogue in that context is actually quite a difficult thing for us to do, and it might look a bit inconsistent. And even if we don't necessarily have much respect for the people, well, even if we don't really like the people that we're looking at, we should try and include them and try and persuade them. Just as a moral point of view. It's also that tactically, of course, option 3 is just a bit smarter. And there was actually a great statement which one of the members of the group who was arrested on Trafalgar Square just yesterday gave. He said, and to be honest, I thought he was going to oppose option 3 before we came to consensus. This was a big surprise to me. But he said, it's easy to be arrested. It's only a little more difficult to be hit by a policeman, but the scars will heal. And the prize we're fighting for is for our children. We need to create a better world. And we're all agreed on this. It's just like tactically, what do we do to achieve this? And I was really pleased that we all came to a consensus about tactically what was the best thing to do. That's what we're discussing.
All the groups have talk? Yeah? Okay. So now we're gonna try to reach consensus for one of the options. So what I'm going to do is... okay. One more.
Oh, sorry.
Hello there. We have all agreed. It was a very, very difficult discussion group, it must be said. But we did have consensus on the fact that we have to be very careful about recognising their legitimacy over us and jurisdiction. So we've only made a couple of amendments to any statement. We agreed that it should be a public statement, and we'd just like to make a couple of changes that we cannot negotiate with such an institution without undermining sister occupations. We propose that if the following terms are not met, we may be able to enter into dialogue. Thank you.
So we're going to start with a temperature check for each of the 4. Okay, one more.
Sorry, I think my summing up may have left a little bit died. I should have added that, as I say, the lack of goodwill on the part of the corporation was mentioned a number of times, and the proposal was certainly put forward that at some point they should come and speak to us here. And the lack of resignations. Have I covered it? Good.
Okay, so we're now going to see how people feel about each of the options, and then the one that gets more happiness, we'll try to get consensus for that one. And if that doesn't work, we'll try the next one, and so on. Hopefully we decide for one, maybe not. But, okay, so the first option is to ignore them straight away, with no talking. Hands up, the one that want to do that? Okay. Option 2 is to say no, but make a public statement. Clarification point. Where is Julie? He's going to explain the option a bit better.
So what was the Clarification question. Option 2. Oh. Right, so the statement would be through the media team here, and it would be just to say we're not going to respond to you, and these are our reasons. We represent not just the camp here, not just the people up and down this country that are forming Occupy, movements, but a global response and something along the lines of that. So it's still a no, but a more centered kind of direct opinion on that.
So hands up for that one. Okay. For the first one I saw 2 hands, and for this one I'm seeing... The question? I'm asking for each of the 4 options that were given at the beginning, and you had to choose your favorite. But this is not consensus yet. This is just a temperature check to see which one we're going to start with. Okay? And the 3rd option is the one that has been presented by the legal team, which is to propose a counter offer. Okay. And then the last one is to say yes and leave on the 31st.
Everybody block.
Okay. Clarification. But I think clarification for the proposals are gone now.
We did that.
We've done that.
The 4th one, I wanted clarification. No, we did that half an hour.
That's. I think there is no time for that. I'm sorry. But we've done the clarifications, then the discussion, and it should be clear by now.
It'll be quicker to not block all the others.
Would you mind asking one of the people around here?
You can ask me.
Yeah. Do you mind?
Hey, ask me. Okay, I'll ask you, and then you'll go on the next.
Okay, so the winner so far is the legal proposal, and then the second one was, but with not many votes, was saying no and making a statement, the media team. Then the 3rd one was ignoring them, and the last one was just to leave. So we're going to try consensus now for the 3rd option, which is the legal. So yeah, but I'm not sure about this. I think if you are not happy with the proposal as it is, you should disagree, and then we start the discussion. Because
just it says something about the worldwide not the other occupations, but that this is just a little history.
In response to that? Yeah, I don't know.
Would you be all right with trying to get consensus on option 3, and if we get consensus on it, then agree on amendments for it?
Yeah. But that's... Are you gonna...
Sorry, can you put the mic on?
It's on.
Yeah, can you turn it up then? Can you, sorry. Can we just vote on all 3 of them, please? Can we all have a chance to vote and say what we think on all 3?
We just did that.
No, you just said you got a temperature check and then you have 1, 2, 3. Instead of just voting on number 3, can we vote on all 3 again so everyone is clear?
Please. All right.
Look, people are saying, people are asking.
I would say no to that, because we've just done it. If this one doesn't get consensus, then we will go for the next one in popularity. Then we will go for the next one. Why are we going to vote? It's just, process. About? Can we try for consensus first? Please. Yeah? Okay. So, the legal proposal with the counter offer. Do we have consensus for that? Any stanza sides? And any blocks? And now blocks, can you come over here and explain why? Briefly, please.
You block it. Well, I want to get my point across. Yeah. So block it. Yeah.
Any other blocks? Can you come around?
I think we're trying to be too clever. I don't care about making counter-offers. I'm not interested in negotiating with the City of London Corporation. The General Assembly is a sovereign body. We don't negotiate with them. We want to get rid of them. We want to build a movement to wipe them out. So I don't want any negotiation. I don't want any clever tricks. No deals with lawyers. We just say out with you.
I actually feel like it undermines movements across the globe. I feel that to negotiate with the authorities undermines movements that are across the globe. People who have faced like rubber bullets, people who have been battered out of squares for what they believe in. I think if we start negotiating with the very people, that we're fighting against, then that's a big problem. I think that if we engage in a legal process that is as much part of the system that is a problem, then we're saying that we agree to that system indirectly, and I feel that we shouldn't go with this.
Blocks?
I think people have been talking about a publicity stunt. I think you're better hedging your bets to some extent and having a certain amount of people who do stay here until January, because you don't know how long it's going to last. You could have 10 or 20 tents, and those people can go on January the 1st, and the rest of the people can stay, or else you could all be kicked off in 2 weeks. And then those people are guaranteed to stay, and there'd be a lot of media interest in those people who stay anyway. So I would suggest you split into 2 parts.
Blocks only, sorry. Block? If it is a clarification for a block, yes, but only a clarification, not a statement or what you think about it. Only a question about it, if it was not clear.
This is in relation to clarify one of the blocks. It's my understanding that the proposal that people are agreeing on is precisely saying we will not negotiate with the City of London unless they become something entirely different from what they are. So it's not a proposal to say we're going to negotiate with them at all.
And another clarification here. Yeah, but they are asking for clarifications of blocks that have already been done.
Yeah, I was going to say about being drawn into a legal situation. We're already legally involved with them as they've made an offer. So just on a clarification on that.
Got a clarification?
We still haven't established the authority or jurisdiction. The London Corporation, we still haven't established the legal jurisdiction or authority. And until that's established, we're shooting in the dark.
It is a block, because what is the point?
I've got a clarification.
So you are blocking?
I've got a clarification about that.
By what do you think?
Because somebody said about whether...
Yeah, but it's got to be...
Someone said we don't want to get into legal, I said we're already.
Do you have a question about that?
Yeah, I said in court is the place where you establish establishment of body.
Yeah, but that is a response, not a clarification. Clarification is a question. Next block, please.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, and clarifications are questions for the people who just spoke, are not clarifications for them. Yeah, okay.
Hi, I'm down from Glasgow. I just arrived tonight, and as you're aware, in Glasgow, we got shafted by Glasgow City Council, which reneged on every promise they made us. So I would say, hold your ground. This is public land, owned by public people, not by the politicians, not by the police, or not by the bankers. So we have every right. Men and women gave their lives in 2 world wars to give us a democratic vote, right to freedom of speech and demonstration. Stand your ground, London, and stand firm. We will win this war. So don't sleep with the enemy. As Caesar says, keep your friends close and your enemies closer.
Any other blocks? One technical point.
Technical point in regard to number 3. There's a very interesting, very useful bit of law that if you write at the top of what you're writing without prejudice, it can't be used in legal proceedings. I envisage something like, the opening statement that we've made with the 9 points. This is who we are, and this is what it's about. We thank you for your kind offer, but we don't accept it. Here's an offer for, from us to you, which is the 3 points, and then leave it with them.
Any more blocks? Yeah. We'd just like to ask people to think why they didn't block in the first place and now they are blocking massively.
Sorry for not blocking in the first place, but number 3, I think the issue I see with number 3 is that we should not believe that the High Courts of Justice are truly a just institution. They're not a just institution. They represent, when you go into a court, you see the Crown seal at the back of the court with the words Dieu et mon droit, God and my right, which is they represent the Crown, basically. And there is no justice, true justice in this land that we live in. So I personally prefer option number 2, which is that we make a statement basically refusing their demands and issue a public statement and a declaration of why we're here. And let's get away from this legal situation where they're just trying to marginalise the discussion into a legal debate. I do not believe we will win this court case in the legal sense. And I don't think that's what the legal system is there for. Otherwise, we would have sorted this out a long time ago, I think. Anyway, thanks.
Okay, that were enough blocks. So now I'm going to try to get consensus on the second proposal in popularity, which was... Sorry? To try the third one again. Okay. Yeah, okay. Okay. How do you feel about using the legal team option, which is to keep talking with them and to propose a counter offer? Stands aside?
Is this number 2?
Process point?
No, number 3.
Blocks for the same proposal we just discussed? Any blocks? There are no blocks? You are blocking. Okay. They are not blocking. They were blocked. Okay, I'm gonna do it again just to make sure. Okay? This is about accepting the legal team proposal for how to deal with the City of London Corporation, which will be to keep talking with them and to make some counter proposals. Agree with that?
Well, yes, but can I just say?
For the second time, can we please go back to point number 2, which keeps being skirted over?
But it's not clear what the proposal is.
Yeah. But you've been discussing this proposal for 30 minutes in the...
Like that. Yeah.
So now we need to go through all the proposals again?
No.
Okay. Julie?
Can we talk about number 2?
Can somebody explain that proposal in detail? The third proposal, the same one. Are you going to explain it?
I get it.
Just to read it properly. Just not to say we're going to keep talking.
Okay, the legal team is going to read this proposal for you.
can we vote on the second one as well?
Can we have the second one represented again?
We had blocks on the third one.
The third one's represented.
Louder.
Hey, so I'm going to read the proposal. Can everybody hear me? Yeah. The proposed legal response. We reject the proposal as the terms are unreasonable and they serve only to establish the groundwork for the City of London to bring proceedings against the occupation. The City of London are an undemocratic authority who are more accountable to corporations than the public. And we cannot negotiate with such an institution without undermining other occupations across the globe who are being violently oppressed by the authorities with the same interests as the City of London. We propose that if the following terms are met, we will wish to continue dialogue. In its initial statement, the City of London Policy Group calls on the Corporation of London to do the following. Number 1, publish full year-by-year breakdowns of the city cash account, future and historic. Number 2, make the entirety of its activities subject to the Freedom of Information Act. Number 3, detail all advocacy undertaken on behalf of the banking and finance industries since the 2008 financial crash. We have been and will continue to work with the Fire Service and the Health and Safety Executive to ensure the occupation remains a safe environment for ourselves and our neighbours. That's the proposal.
Okay. Any clarifications on that? Yeah.
Just vote. It's getting too slow.
Stop it. What now?
If we say the bit that we will continue to comply with fire regulations, then if the fire people turn around and say you are blocking our access, then we have legally agreed to clear the camp.